Hey everyone, it's Adam here. I can't see the guy. Uh, for those of you who've been following my videos lately, I've started reviewing a franchise, Silent Night, Deadly Night. The first one I enjoy. Second one, in my opinion, was a very worthless movie because the first half of the movie was basically reusing video from the first movie. Pretty much trying to indicate that they didn't have much of a plot or a story to make this movie, so they just reused old video. And the second half of the movie is about Eric Freeman putting on an outstanding performance. Garbage day! So a worthless movie. The third movie was fucking boring. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Better Watch It, that came in the year of 1989. A massive bore fest. About Ricky, the character, for some reason having a dome on his head, showing his brain, looked like he had a fucking dildo on his head. Well, see those reviews. But now we get to part 4. Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4 Initiation, also known as Bugs in the United Kingdom. I'm not kidding. I've just watched it moments ago and I must have lost a trillion brain cells after watching this movie. I mean, I used to own this movie. The thing is, Part 3, Part 4, and Part 5 are quite rare. And you can buy them online, but you'll find they're really pricey and expensive. But to cut a long story short, I really wanted to get number 5 because the front cover really intrigued me. The toy maker, where the little boy's there by his closet, he's got all those evil dolls with the eyes lurking at him and everything. And when I brought part 5, it was really pricey, but I got part 4, Initiation, as part of a deal. And I couldn't remember Initiation, part 4, and to be honest, I don't blame myself one bit for not remembering because it was a forgettable movie. I've just watched the movie moments ago. I've tried to stay awake, and like I said, I must have lost like a trillion brain cells after watching that movie. Talk about a movie that's so fucking forgettable, so fucking blur, you know. It's my own fault for starting reviewing this franchise, but it's only because somebody nicely asked me to review the first movie, so now I've got no choice but to do a review on all these movies. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I can't wait till this franchise is over, so I can start reviewing movies I actually like around Christmas. I mean, Christmas is next week, and it's supposed to be a jolly time of the year, and I'm reviewing shit movies like this. I'm going to sit through the movies, and then I've got to fucking watch them, And this one was just so hard to watch. Basically, we get this character called Ricky. And I'm thinking, is this the same Ricky from part 2 and part 3? It's not played by Eric Freeman, thank God. And it's not played by Bill Moseley in part 3. But now it's played by a different actor, and I don't know the actor's name. But is this the same Ricky? That's always what I wanted to know. Is it the same Ricky? Is it the same character? Or did they just throw it in for shits and giggles? But this movie doesn't take place after any of the previous movies. We get this bum who is by this building, and then this woman who gets set on fire falls off the rooftop right in front of him, falls to her death. A way to open up a movie, apparently. And then, basically, I think the film is taking place in Los Angeles, and then we get this reporter who's dumb as fuck. Honestly, she wouldn't be able to tell a murderer, even if it was written across the murderer's head, I am a murderer. She wouldn't bloody know. She seemed like this really retarded, thick reporter. And she's investigating the death of this woman who fell off the rooftop, who was on fire. She goes into this workplace, where all these offices, where all these women work. Little does she know that all these women are witches. And basically, I'm going to tell you the whole plot right now. The aim of this movie is for them witches to perform a ritual on Christmas. Well, that's basically it, to perform a ritual on Christmas, and they want to use the reporter girl for it. basically the whole thing about the woman being set on fire, being thrown off the rooftop, was all part of the process, a foul process, basically. But with so many fucking retarded, stupid things in this movie, we get giant cockroaches in this movie. And from what I understand, the person who did the cockroach special effects in this movie was also the same guy who did the cockroach effect in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. If that's the case, then I give thumbs up to the special effects. I like the cockroach scene in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 is my favourite Freddy movie, but I can like it to some extent, and I did like the cockroach scene. A very sick scene and some good special effects, but same. I suppose there was nothing wrong with the special effects in this movie, but come on, it's supposed to be a Christmas horror movie. We're seeing fucking giant cockroaches. We've got all these women in the workforce who are witches. One is supposedly lesbian. You know, and during a death scene, we get a scene where someone's watching Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3 on the TV. And I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck are all these sequels so obsessed with watching their previous movies on the fucking TV? Because in Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, Ricky and his girlfriend were in the theatre, you know, in the cinema, watching scenes from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1. So for some reason his story is like, his life has become a movie, basically. So why is his life a fucking movie all of a sudden? I don't fucking get that. You know, couldn't they have just showed any type of movie? Why did they have to show footage from the first movie? Here it's the same fucking thing. You know, in Part 4, there's a scene where someone's watching Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3 on the TV. You know, what's the fucking obsession in this? You know, you could watch anything in the world. Why not a different horror film? Why not your own film? Why have you got to fucking re-watch something that's not meant to be a fucking movie? That's like me going to the cinema to watch a home video of myself. It just got turned into a Hollywood movie. You know, doesn't make any fucking sense. But I'm surprised I managed to stay awake for this whole movie. I apologise if I'm not somehow making this movie seem like intriguing, or if I can't remember it, because twice now I've watched this movie. Once when I first got it on DVD, forgot about it completely, and I don't think I watched it all the way through at the time. And now I've just watched it all the way through moments ago, trying to survive the fucking bore fest. Because in this movie there's nothing eventful, there's no great acting, and above all else, there's just no good story. I mean, the original story of a Silent Night and Deadly Night movie is about a killer Santa Claus. I suppose they're taking a page out of the Halloween films, you know, where in Halloween 3 they didn't have Michael Myers. Where in this one they wanted to do the same thing. Oh yeah, we'll call it Silent Night, Deadly Night, but have no Christmas feel, no killer Santa Claus. They try and make it a Christmas feel by throwing in Christmas trees every now and then, but, you know, it's not about a killer Santa Claus, you know. In this one it's about bugs and witches performing rituals. You know, they try to sacrifice this child at the end, and the reporter's trying to save the child's life. You know, and basically her fate will be on fire and thrown off a fucking building, you know. Who the fuck writes this shit? In fact, I'll tell you who fucking wrote this shit. Directed by Brian Usner. Screenplay Woody Keith. Produced by Richard Gladstein. And again, I'm not familiar with the cast of this. Maud Adams, Tommy Hinkley, Alice Beasley. Oh, we've got Clint Howard in this movie. And Neith Hunter. I mean, the movie's on for 86 minutes and it felt like it went on forever. It just... Again, it was just one of those movies that was a complete bore fest. You was just wondering how long was going to be left of the movie. I mean, I admit it didn't put me to sleep like the third movie did, but... Again, at the same time, there was nothing intriguing about this movie. Fucking nothing. You know, and just judging from the reception, got panned by critics, saying it was just like all the other movies, not true to the previous films. It just says it was a very flat entertainment. You know, if I wanted to watch a horror movie about bugs, I'd watch A Bug's Life or Ants or anything like that. You know, not a fucking Christmas movie based on fucking cockroaches and witches. Again, horrendous movie. That's all I can say. Horrendous movie. And I didn't know how long this review was going to be. You know, I wish I could have spoke more about the plot. But the thing is, it was that much of a forgettable movie that even I can't remember what happened at the end or anything like that. Even watching it moments ago. You know, where you get some of those movies where you just can't keep your eyes open because of you just don't give a shit what's going on, and then the scenes that you do see where you think are going to get good, they end up being fucking childish. Giant cockroaches, and fucking witches wanting to perform a ritual on Christmas Day, you know, and you know it's something you'd read in a fucking Ladybird book or you know a toddler's book from nursery. You know what I mean? Like a scary Christmas story for toddlers. You know what I mean? Nursery rhymes. You know. But in all fairness, um, there's only one left after this, and that's the Toy Maker, and I'll get into why that movie tried to intrigue me, but again, I don't like it. But I'll get into that reason why. But I'd say every Silent Night Deadly Night movie, they're bad for their own ways. Apart from the first one, the second one was the most worthless movie. The third one was the most boring movie, and I'll say this movie is the most forgettable movie out of the bunch. The most forgettable movie. Nothing to remember about this movie. There's loads of great Christmas movies we can watch, but again, please don't put this at the top of your list. And that's all I've got to say. There's nothing more I can say. Complete fucking trash this movie was. Don't expect a big gore fest or a good scary Christmas ride because this movie does not cut the slack for that. So I'm getting out of here right now. Fuck this movie. Silent Night, Dead Night Part 4 Initiation. Complete load of shit. Peace out.